open it up to any other questions or discussion about any of this stuff. If you guys got it all figured out now, yeah.
Where does the Fledgling Fund get its finance from?
Where, you said?
Yes.
We're a family foundation. So private family foundation, it's one, Diana Barrett is the founder. It's just our family foundation. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you support projects in Europe as well?
Do we? Yes. So you can apply from anywhere. The only requirement is that you have to have a US fiscal sponsor, but you don't have to have one when a fiscal sponsor. So essentially what that is an organization that has a 501c3, and in the US a 501c3 means that it's the legal status for a nonprofit, and so as a private foundation we can only give funding to nonprofits, and so in order to receive funding from the Fledgling Fund you have to have that fiscal sponsor that would basically operate as your 501c3 status. It's a little complicated, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's a partnership with a nonprofit in the US.
Foundation, what we call a foundation.
Right. Great. Thank you. Yes, but yes. I would say that issue-wise, we're sort of agnostic about it. Any issue, it doesn't have to be U.S.-based either. So. And we have two funding cycles a year. The next one opens up in end of January, or I believe the end of January. And it's submitting a letter of inquiry, and you should have a rough cut when you submit. So, yep. Other questions? Any thoughts on campaigns or things that you're thinking about that are sort of just brewing that you want to open up to the group to brainstorm around? Yeah.
You were touching the issue of budgets.
Yeah.
And of course, I would
Want.
some of the films that has the biggest impact also have the same budget on that work as they do on the production of the film.
Yeah.
And there's, in one sense, no limit to what you can do. You know, you can occupy yourself and a lot of people doing this work. But what's your thoughts about, this thing about wanting to make change, but also wanting to reach a new audience or a new paying audience that makes your film business sustainable?
Yeah.
This project.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't empty all the resources in this campaign, and you can actually continue.
None of this is to say that you shouldn't also have a financial bottom line. They're not exclusive, and they actually, not only are they not exclusive, but they support each other. The more that you build, the more that you do outreach, building audience and an engagement, getting people engaged in the issue, the more they're talking about your film, and those people will continue to buy tickets, and outreach and engagement supports your financial bottom line too. And that's a really important thing to talk to your distributors about, because a lot of distributors are still kind of not getting the message that just because you have a social action campaign, that it doesn't hurt their financial bottom line when they buy your film. And so it's really important to make sure that you know how to articulate that to your distributors and other partners. Yeah.
But I find it, we're working with two films now, and one
Yeah.
is like a dance film. It's really easy to find a niche audience
Yeah.
for that and build, because there's a dance audience asking for films all over the world.
Yeah.
And the other one is a social interest film, and it's a painful story, and it's not that many people asking for that story. And if you look into the financial part of it, having people wanting to pay for that story, that's a bit painful. It seems it's a very different road than the other one, but
Yeah.
what's your thoughts about, this?
Well, I would argue that you're probably just not hearing them ask for it. I mean, I think that, we funded the films that I think, oh gosh, what is the audience for this? And there are ways to find them. I really, really do believe it, that they will figure out, if you figure out the right price point, they will pay for it. And that, whether that's, whatever, €3 community screening or whatever it is, there are ways to reach the right audiences that actually do want the content. They may not know that they want the content because they haven't thought about that issue, but that's where we go back to that sort of ecosystem, the audience ecosystem, because there may be people that, consider themselves ocean lovers or something, but have never really connected ocean with climate science or whatever. There are ways to sort of find audiences through the back door that you would be surprised that if it's communicated correctly, that they will and should pay for it. I don't know if that answers your question. Do you guys have thoughts on that?
I would also, it's sometimes helpful to find the right partners. Like, a lot of NGOs have massive networks, so if you find the right partners, then they can help you spread the message.
Yeah. I would say not even sometimes good to find the right partners, always good to find the right partners. Yeah. All of the films that we fund, we fund around 50 films projects a year. All of them have strong nonprofit partners. You just can't do this work alone. It's not your job. You're filmmakers, and you should do what you do best. So connect with the right partners, for sure. And I think it's important to note, too, that when you're contacting those partners for the first time, often filmmakers will call up or email or whatever, however they're meeting that partner, and say something along the lines of, I've got this film. I'm really hoping that you can promote it to your networks. Can you help me? Right? And that's a really quick way to get them to say, no, I'm busy. I don't have funding for that. The way to approach nonprofits is instead to propose a really mutually beneficial relationship where you're saying, I've studied your mission. I understand what you're trying to do. I understand who your target audiences are. And I've got this film. I think it might help you reach your target audiences and achieve your goals. Because it's true. We have a paper on our website that I walk through all the ways that film helps nonprofits and nonprofits help films. Look through that list before you start building those relationships, because it really is, you have a quick moment to get them interested in working with you, and so don't mess it up. Make sure that you're communicating that it's a mutually beneficial relationship. Other thoughts or questions? Yeah. Sorry, it's dark up there. Yeah.
Are there any, what are the pitfalls and what are the things you need to pay attention to?
That's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question. Do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I can answer it for us.
Yeah.
It goes together, like...
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, the question was how... Well, go ahead.
Yeah, the question is, how do you balance storytelling and creating the right, strong story with the need for social change? And how do you sort of play with those two things and make sure that they're prioritized correctly? Is that fair? Okay.
Yeah, for us, it's, people aren't going to see our film because they think it's really important information that they need to get. That, oh my God, I didn't know that there was this problem. I need to go learn about that, or I need to find out how to fix this problem, because that's not what films are for. They want to see a film. I think even people who are already on our side want to see a film because it's going to be fun and exciting. And for us, we act as cheerleaders for activists too. So it's to have fun and to get the right message. And for people who don't care about the issues, it's mainly the story that's going to be what they're interested in. It's like each of these media things that we do. The media doesn't cover them because they have important information. They cover them because it's outrageous. And the journalists will want to cover the issue because they're decent people. They won't put these things on if they disagree with us about the issue, but they can't put them on just because it's an important issue. They put them on because it's a funny story. And it's the same with a film and watching a film. People go to a film because it's a good story, because there's something meaningful there, because somebody has told them there's something meaningful there. And our theory is that there's a lot of people out there who really are they know the facts, they know that there's a solution, they just don't think that they can have any impact on the solution. And so those people, there's enough of them that if we reach some of them and communicate that there is stuff you can do, that's good enough. But first they have to come see the film, and it might not be because of the information. It's usually going to be because it's an exciting story.
And Nicole, I would say that all of the films that either are at Good Pitch or at the Impact Awards are excellent stories before they were anything else. Is that fair to say? I mean, I think,
Yeah.
and we from the Fledgling Fund, we would say the same thing, that we fund story first, and the sort of the social action piece has to come second, because no one's going to see your darn film if it's not a good story, and then you're left with nothing, right? Was that
Yeah, exactly.
how
The,
you guys-
the power of the film is in the film. Like, the quality of the film is the most important thing. That's what we fund, and that will make a change. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think you're going to hear that over and over again from broadcasters, from funders, from nonprofits, from anyone that's sort of a stakeholder in the work that you're doing is going to want it to be an excellent film, and then talk about the issue as a sort of after that. And I think, you know, your work is sort of unique in a way, because you're filming like it's all kind of twisted up because the campaign is in the film and there's activism in the film,
Yeah.
whereas a lot of films it's sort of about the issue and not necessarily about the activism. I just watched a film yesterday that we're considering funding that follows these in a very rural town in Missouri, in the middle of the United States, follows a handful of kids as they kind of navigate how hard it is to just be youth in rural poverty. And it's just such a beautiful, stunning film. It had nothing, there was no sort of shoved down your throat message, but I walked away knowing exactly what the campaign was, right? Just because I felt so emotionally connected to the characters and to the story that the rest I knew would come later. You know, it didn't have to be a message shoved down your throat if that's not your film. So, does that help at all? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have so many questions.
No, please. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Transmedia has been one of these magical words that everybody loves and nobody wants to pay for as the time being. And there's
Yeah.
so much you can do. But when you think about impact work or outreach work, how do you place transmedia into that picture? That's my first question. And the other question is also, does BRITDOC also give pronunciation to outreach campaigns that are not in the good pitch? So that's my two questions.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll answer the last one first because I can't remember the first one.
So let me just
Sorry.
repeat the question, just so we've got it. The first question is, what the heck is going on with Transmedia, basically? How does it play into all of this? And secondly, does BRITDOC fund projects that are not necessarily in good pitch already?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the transmedia stuff, we see that as a tool. Like, BRITDOC sees that as just one of the other tools that you can use, and it's super helpful, and it can reach lots of people, when used in the right way. So yeah, you know, totally big supporter as long as it's just one of the other tools in your toolbox. And yes, we definitely fund outreach work outside Good Pitch. Good Pitch is a program, so it's kind of like a platform where we enable for you to connect to other partners. And hopefully those partners will give you funding, but more importantly, they will hopefully connect you to, you know, to their networks or to the right policymaker, or, you know, to the like school network that needs to see your film. One of our funds is a specific outreach funds. Bertha Foundation is one of our core funders, and we have a specific journalism fund with them and an outreach fund for campaigning work. So yeah, I think that call opens again in January.
And I would say on the transmedia thing, I feel the same way. It's I sort of don't get why it's all buzzy right now. It's just sort of, it means multiple kinds of media, you know,
Yeah.
and it's as simple as that. So yes, it is a tool in your toolbox if it's the right tool for your target audience and your message. It is not sort of the end all be all of campaign structure, and it's a thing. That's it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say about funding that is a really important thing to think about is that there are funders out there like BRITDOC and Bertha and ourselves and Tribeca, and there's a sort of a handful of funders that are very deeply entrenched in the funding of social issue campaigns and documentaries. But if you look at most films that have big budgets for their campaigns, some, if not the majority of the funding, came from people that were interested in the issue, not necessarily were media funders. Because what you'll get a lot of when you knock on funders' doors are, sorry, we don't fund media. And so when you flip that on its head, when you flip your pitch on its head and say instead, I've got a campaign that's going to do this and this and this, and here are my goals, and here's my strategy, and here's how I'm going to reach them, and I happen to have a movie, then you can get the people that technically don't fund film, because you're pitching the campaign and the sort of audience and movement building instead, and that works. You can get to people that are interested in the issue, so don't overlook the people that fund, the issue that your film is about. Yeah. Other questions? You guys got it all figured out? I agree. Do you have more?
I have more
Yeah.
clips. I also have this this nice slide with Docs for Change on it. No, this is a thing we did on the topic of working with NGOs, organizations, and really collaborating, bringing them something as well as asking them. I think you were talking about, don't ask them just to spread it, offer them something. Our list is pretty active, and we did an action with Rainforest Action Network around Chevron and their debt in Ecuador. They've basically, in Chevron Texaco, created the largest oil spill ever in history in the rainforest in Ecuador in the 90s. And the company, the victims sued the company for $20 billion or something, and recently won. Chevron is fighting it, and maybe decades before they actually have to pay up, but it seems to be moving forward. And this happened when Chevron, it was shortly after the BP oil spill, and people really didn't like oil companies. So Chevron decided they would try to capitalize on that by launching a street art style campaign, an advertising campaign that had a street art aesthetic. And they prepared it all, and then they reached out to an actual street artist, asking him for help postering up their thing for a TV ad. He said, yes, of course I'll help you, and promptly gave the PDF to Rainforest Action Network, who contacted us, and we prepared an alternative campaign for Chevron, which we launched about 8 hours before their real one. And it created a lot of stir in the media, and we used that media stir to launch a crowdsourcing ad spoofing website, and people just responded en masse, and we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of submissions of these hilarious alternative Chevron ads, and it's basically ruined. Their campaign is basically ruined. If you just search on Chevron, we agree, their ad campaign, this is what you get. We also did that with Shell's Arctic campaign. Very long story, but here are some of these pictures for Shell Let's Go. It was their main, here's a real one. It's their main slogan in their current advertising campaign, and if you search on it, you get just hundreds of these fake Arctic ads. At least we aren't BP. Nothing lasts forever. All kinds of, some say catastrophe, we say opportunity, just endlessly. You can't run your SUV on cute. So that's not a clip, but that's another way our campaigns have worked. Let's see if I can find a good clip. Oh yeah, here's.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh.
About this, for example, when you're using Shell to make these ads and all this, are there legal actions, and how do you plan for that?
There are. I'm sure there's a desire for legal action by Shell, but they really can't do anything about it. They know that if they take action and try to sue us or something, it'll just look terrible for them. So that's actually what we kind of build into our campaigns now is threats against us. Let me show this little clip that will introduce how that worked.
This is CBS 12 News at 7. Time for your CBS 12 send-off.
Well, the oil company Shell is getting ready to start pumping oil out of the Arctic, supposedly to celebrate. They had a private party at the Space Needle in Seattle. Now, the wife of the late engineer that designed the offshore oil rig that's going to do it was called to the front of the table.
Charles, yeah. It's not coming out. That's just go for it. You can't hurt it. What are you doing? Hey, oh no. Turn it off. I can't turn it off.
All right, so it appears as though the symbolic drink dispenser malfunctioned, spraying the guest of honor. But guess what? This is all a hoax, an elaborate hoax by a suspected environmentalist group. This video got a lot of play in the Pacific Northwest until it was discovered to be a fake. The activists are hoping to point out that the dangers of oil drilling in a pristine area like the Arctic, saying that if Shell can't control a drink dispenser, how are they going to control?
So this wasn't really a Shell party.
No,
Okay.
it's not. But it was portrayed that way, and it's been
That was very
spreading
confusing.
through the internet. Well, that's why I said it was a fake.
So,
She was not amused. Jeez.
no, kind of rude.
So that would be the opposition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a fake Occupy infiltrator who filmed this fake event, and then it spread it on the internet. And it got about 500,000 views in about 6 hours. People were just like, oh my God, Shell has really messed up. This is a hilarious public relations disaster. And then to go on the legal question, we actually issued a press release from Shell after that, attacking us, saying this was a fake event. As soon as, one media outlet got it, figured it out after about 6 or 7 hours and published a thing, this is a hoax. And so immediately then we launched this press release from Shell saying, yes, this is a hoax. And these are evil pranksters. They're not on our side. They're spreading misinformation. It's all perfectly safe. We didn't have this party. And to make matters worse, these assholes have launched a fake Shell website. And it's fake, don't go there. And the website was Arctic ready. And so what happens? Immediately, it just explodes. And everybody goes to this website and doesn't realize it's fake, even though we've said it's fake. And it had a social media component where people could make their own ads. And that's where all those thousands of ads came from. It had a generator. I'll just show you the website, actually.
We're out of time.
Oh, okay.
But pull it up.
Yeah,
But
Arctic
we're out of time. Last burning questions. Are you leaving here knowing exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and how you're going to fundraise for it? Perfect. Thank you guys so much for being here and for listening and for asking questions. And I think I speak on behalf of all of us that we wish you the best on whatever you're working on. So.
All right.